name is Warszawski. I'm from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm currently studying international relations. As part of my program, I went to India, and I spent 4 months studying contemporary India. And as part of that, I got to engage with the Jewish community outside of Mumbai. It turns out that one of the other people on the trip was also Jewish, and her family had friends in Thane, which is a town outside of Mumbai. And we got to talk to them, and they were just like, oh, come for Rosh Hashanah, we'll have a good time together, blah, blah. And so I was like, sure, sounds good. I thought it would be a really cool experience, and so we went out there. It was just it was a very old synagogue, hundreds of years old, and so it was kind of broken down. But there was an inner sanctum kind of room with the bima in the center and benches surrounding the bima in the Sephardic fashion. And then outside there were 2 rooms, and that's where the women sat. But then because it was the high holidays, they had to expand a little bit, so they the porch balcony area also had chairs and such, and that's where I was sitting. It was more or less open air, which was kind of great because it was extremely hot and humid, especially in the throes of September and everything. And it gets to a point where they have to have an intermission in their services for everybody to go flee inside a cafe or something, eat a dosa, and a dosa is more or less a really big crepe that's got Indian spices in it. You have a little bit of tea, have a little bit of water, and then they kind of regroup and let's rally it again through the new year. It was also cool because I was a month in, and so that's when a lot of the culture hits you, and you're just your goose is getting cooked. But having that kind of sojourn to the Jewish community for a weekend was super nice, because a lot of my hominess came back through not necessarily the food. It was very different food, but talking about Judaism, being exposed to it with a family that's also Jewish, just being in a Jewish environment. It's just funny, Judaism's not hidden there. And so when I went and spoke to my host father, and I was like, oh, is there a temple or somewhere, do you know of anywhere? And he's like, oh yes, there's a place called Chabad. And I was like, oh, Chabad. He's like, no, it's called Chabad. And I was like, no, it's in Hebrew it's Chabad. And he goes, but it's spelled Chabad. And I was like, okay, yes, it's Chabad. If you're going abroad to a place that's not typically Jewish, or if you're just going abroad, period, it's cool to reach out to Jewish communities, especially if you're Jewish, because it brings a little home, and it's a good way to deal with culture shock.